Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, aneni, aneni. I called out to you from a narrow place. Your answer came to me from a wide open space. My heart cried out for you wherever you are. Your hand reached out to me min hametzar. Aneni, 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 answer me. 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 Aneni, aneni, aneni. Min hametzar. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare of freedom beat across the wilderness. Kolod valevov benigo, nefesh Yehudi homiya, ulfatei mizrach kadima, ayin b'tzion Sophia. Od lo avda tikvateinu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים. Beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. Amen. Shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom.
In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. as we remember, we remember, we remember, we remember.
השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Raise me up to a world of living, oh, safe from the storm, in the shelter of your shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Behamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. If I could follow and know all of your ways and wisdom, oh, you would keep me safe, and I'd always praise your name.
Hallelujah, 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 el bikocho, hallelujah, bikia uzo, hallelujah, bigvurotav, hallelujah, kerobud lo. Take a shofar, hallelujah, benebe bechinor, hallelujah, betofu machol, hallelujah, beminim meugam. Betzitele shama, hallelujah, betzitele trua, kolan shama, te hallelujah, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Shabbat morning services with us here at Central Synagogue. I am Rabbi Dan Rost, joined by my colleague, Cantor Dan Vutlu.
Make me a rabbi this morning, why not?
And by our extraordinary musicians who are here with us this morning to lift up our voices for Shabbat. And most importantly, last but not least, we are joined in our sanctuary by Natalie Brenner, our bat mitzvah, and her family. Natalie, if you can stand up and wave, let everybody know who you are. We are so excited to celebrate with you this morning, and we can't wait to have you join us for the Torah service. And we are joined with a congregation from around the world today. We have some folks from Berlin, South Africa, Brazil, Germany, Virginia, South Carolina, and we are so excited to have the chance to celebrate Shabbat with you. And we continue on with Elohai Neshama.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehurahi. Elohai, 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 Neshama. Shenatata bi Tehurahi. Ata beranta, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamera, meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, 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 Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehurahi. We continue now with our call to worship, Baruch Hu, and we're going to ask you to rise, and you can turn to page 108. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam
On this nice, beautiful, crisp autumn morning, we offer a prayer for creation on page 111. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light.
Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Grateful for our freedoms, we continue now on page 122 with Michamocha. לשמחת שפת הים, יחד כל עמודו והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. In a moment, we will be led in the invocation of the Amidah, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. And we will open up the lips of our hearts and offer a silent prayer to God.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. רצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי
On to our service for the reading of Torah this morning, we welcome Natalie and her family to the Bima. And Natalie, I know you have something that you want to read to kick off this service this morning.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlu Adonai iti unerome b'shemo yachdav.
Now, Natalie, your parents have been dreaming of this moment since before you were born, and generations upon generations of the Jewish people have been dreaming that you would one day arrive at this bima and read from this Torah and become bat mitzvah. And in recognition of that hope of generations, we invite your parents to offer you something special on the day of your bat mitzvah.
Finally, we're here. Finally is a word that many years ago on this very date, your mom and I heard that when we got married. And then about 12 years ago, we heard that word finally again when we told people that we were going to have you. And we could not be prouder today to be here with you. Before the pandemic, we expected to be having this service on May 2nd. But when it couldn't be here, when you couldn't be in this place reading from this Torah on this bima, we knew we had to move it. It just meant too much to you. But even now, it's not occurring exactly as we planned. The rabbis are not by your side. Your friends are mostly watching virtually, and the celebration will be delayed again. But the way you've taken it all in stride, persevered, never complained, never lamented about the delay in the celebration, expressed more concern about the impact on others than yourself, it's just typical of the way you live your life. As a parent, you want to be a good role model. You want to set an example. But as I think of you today, I feel like the roles are often reversed. You're often the one setting the example. From a very young age, your empathy, your compassion for friends, family, strangers on the street has set an example for all of us. You know, I remember even in preschool, when you were learning about Earth Day and the environment and the like, for weeks after that, we had to go home picking up every gum wrapper and cigarette butt we could find. And then today, if we're walking past a homeless person on the street, sort of wrapped up in our own world, or maybe even just making pretend we're not noticing, you do notice, and you make sure that we do. Not so long ago, in fact, I recall you came to us one night and asked to borrow money, and it was about a day after you'd gotten your allowance. And when we asked why you needed money, you said, well, you gave $10 to the homeless man on the corner. When we asked why you gave him $10, you said, that is all I had. To you, it was that simple. No calculation, no thought about what he might do with it or what that would leave you. It was just seemed like the right thing to do without question, and you did it. And that's just one of the values you have. Natalie, we love you also for your goofy sense of humor, your crazy dance moves, your channeling of your dog's most inner thoughts, and your ability to poke fun at yourself. But we respect you for the way that you nurture your family and friends, and for the values you embody every day. We were very lucky at the beginning of your Jewish education to take a trip to Israel with Central Synagogue, with Rabbi Lorge and Rabbi Rosenthal. And from the heights of the Masada to the Dead Sea, to the Golan, to Jerusalem, you peppered them with questions, at least when you weren't playing hand coordination games with Rabbi Lorge. But I think it gave you perspective, and you connected to your roots, and you connected to this congregation. And frankly, I think it made everything make a lot of sense to you. We wanted to keep those memories close. We wanted you to always feel that connection. And so your mom bought a ring in one of the markets there. It's inscribed with the Shema. And we thought it would be appropriate at this point to pass it down to you.
Thank you.
And of course, your mom has a few words and something else we wanted to give you.
So, on May 2nd, the original date of your bat mitzvah, we woke up as a family and we tuned into Central's live stream of their Shabbat service that Saturday morning. And not 10 minutes in, I was crying like a baby. And, for most of you who know me well, you don't think of me as a crier. Frankly, I don't either. But in promising you that I wouldn't lose it today, I thought a lot about why all those emotions converged on me that day, and why I couldn't keep it together in watching this beautiful moment that we were supposed to be a part of and weren't. And maybe it was the unfairness of that moment you had worked so hard to prepare for, and was taken away. Maybe it was the sound of your voices you sang so effortlessly in Hebrew, seemingly undeterred by the fact that you were a spectator that day. Maybe it was simply the overwhelming pride and love that I have for you and the amazing woman you've become. But regardless, we're finally here. We're on this bima, and as Dad so eloquently said, this is your long-awaited day. And although this seemingly endless pandemic has kept a few very special people from physically being here today with us, among them Grandma Carol, Grandpa Joe, Aunt Cheryl, Uncle Len, Cousin Henry, we are here inside Central Synagogue where we wanted the service to happen, and they are with us thanks to the wonders of technology. And we're so grateful to have Grandma Maxine, Aunt Nancy, Aunt Randy, and Uncle Brian here with us. We have cousins Eli and Jack on live stream as well. We have your best friends Olivia and Layla. And we have very special people in our lives, both here in person and watching us from afar. Thank you all for being part of this long-awaited journey. Natalie, I'm going to lose it. You are the light of my life. You are the Rory to my Lorelei, the most thoughtful, caring, beautiful person that I know. And your Hebrew name, Nava, which means beauty, really describes you perfectly, inside and out. And with that beauty, I've seen an inner strength and confidence that's revealed itself during this past 8 months. You are now officially a Jewish adult, and we know you can do anything you set your mind to. So just know that through it all, Dad, Emma, and I will be at your side to prop you up, to root you on, and to push you beyond your limits when we know you need that little push. We love you so much.
Thank you.
So I also have a gift for you this morning, one that was passed down through 3 generations of my family with great affection and with religious significance. This beautiful pouch, which I've been hiding from you and I hope you didn't see, and the talit that we find inside is a very special gift from Grandpa. It was given to him by his grandfather, whose name was Sam Stein, on the occasion of his bar mitzvah, which was 76 years ago, back in 1944. And Grandpa told me that his father was actually in the army and couldn't be at his bar mitzvah, but that his grandfather was there and had given him this talit. And it's also something that he wore every time he went to shul in subsequent years. So for our non-Jewish friends who are watching, a talit is a traditional Jewish prayer shawl. You've seen the Rabbi and Cantor wearing them on the screen. Historically worn by men and gifted by men to their sons, but also in modern days worn by women. And wearing a talit serves as a reminder to obey God's commands, which is a message that's particularly relevant to Natalie's Torah portion today. Grandpa's talit is so beautiful, and luckily it matches your dress. So I'm going to wrap this up by wrapping you in it. Just to say, Mazel Tov. We love you so much.
Thank you.
And Natalie, together we're going to say the blessing for wrapping yourself in a talit. So please join me. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Elohim melech haolam.
Asher kitshanu.
Asher kiddushanu.
B'mitzvotav.
B'mitzvotav.
Vitzivanu.
Vitzivanu.
Lehit atef.
Mechit atef.
Ba.
Ba.
Tzitzit.
Titzit.
Mazal tov to you, and thank you to your parents for those wonderful blessings and gifts. And now it's time for you to tell us what you're going to be reading from the Torah and for you to call up your first aliyah.
My Torah portion is Kiddushim, or Parashah Kiddushim, from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verses 1 to 12. For my first aliyah, I call upon my mom and dad.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bakar banu mikol hamin. V'natan lanu Torah.
Baruch
atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem kiddushim dehiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo v'aviv tira'u v'shabtotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha lo tasu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem.
Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'toenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Wonderful, and now you can call up your second aliyah.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my grandma Carol, my grandpa Joe, and my aunt Nancy.
Adonai Hamvarach,
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher boach abonu mikol ha'amim, v'naton lanu es toroso, Baruch Atah Adonai, nosein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vechi tisbachu zevach shalamim ladonai lirtzalchem tisbachu b'yom zivchachem yachel umimachorat v'hanotar ad yom hashlishi ba'esh yisarev ve'im heachol yachel b'yom hashlishi pigulhu lo yiratzeh Vel chalav avono yisa, ki kodesh Adonai chilel, v'nishchrata hanefesh hahi me'amecha.
To Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher nosan lanu Toras emes, v'chayei olam, nata b'sachenu, Baruch atah Adonai, nosein haTorah.
Amen. Beautifully done. So we're going to ask your parents and your aunt to take your seats back in the congregation so that only Natalie, you are up there, because this is a very special moment that you have come to, which is your own aliyah. And this moment could not have happened any sooner than this, because this is the moment that proves you are ready and that you have become bat mitzvah, and we are so very, very excited for you and so proud of you. So we call you up to the Torah by your Hebrew name, not just your English name, but your Hebrew name, and your mom already alluded to what your Hebrew name means. And the other beautiful part of your Hebrew name is that it's also connected to your parents, and it's connected many generations before, like those beautiful gifts that your parents gave you. So you are named for your grandfather, Norman, and when you chant Torah and when we call you to the Torah, we're really bringing his spirit along with that. And it fills your family, I know, with so much pride right now. So us too, and we're going to call you now for the very first time to the Aliyah as a bat mitzvah. Tamod, 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 habat mitzvah, nava bat Ruven vibela.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, ve'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Uvkutrachem et ketzir artzechem, lo techaleh, ve'at tzarcha liksor, ve'leke ketzerecha lo telakate. V'charmecha lo telel, uferet karmecha lo telakate, lani v'lager tazov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo tignovu, v'lo techachashu, v'lo tishakaru, yishba mito, v'lo tishavu, v'shmi la shaker, v'chilata, et shem Elohecha, ani Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And I know, Natalie, you're going to introduce our Haftarah portion.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Amos. I will be reading from chapter 9, verses 11 to 15. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza b'divrahem hane'emarim bemet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Bayom hahu akim et sukat David hanofelet v'gadarti et pirtzehen v'harisotav akim uvniti hakimei olam leman yireshu et sherit Edom v'chol hagoyim asher nikra shemi alehem Ne'um Adonai oseh zot. Hine yamim ba'im ne'um Adonai v'nigash choresh bakotzer v'dorech anavim b'Moshe hazara v'hitifu hecharim asis v'chol hageva'ot titmo gagna v'shavti et shavut am Yisrael uvanu arim nishamot ve'ashavu v'nateu cheramim ve'shatu eyenam ve'asu ganot ve'achilu et perihem untatim alad matam ve'lo yinatishu od me'al admatam asher natati lahem amar Adonai Elohecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol holamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber u'mkayem shekol debarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanavim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'linuha lechavod ol tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim ota yitbarak shimcha b'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
And Natalie, now having chanted so beautifully the words of our ancestors, their Torah, we invite you to offer your own Torah on this morning of your bat mitzvah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm extremely thankful to be here, finally, and that so many of you were still able to join me, both in person and through Zoom. My Torah portion is Kiddushim. Kiddushim is not a typical portion because it does not follow a storyline, but instead lists God's commandments. Now, normally, we would be considering these particular words of Torah during mid-spring, but I can assure you that these messages and themes from this section are as relevant today as they would have been then, if not more so. Moses is at the Israelite camp on Mount Sinai, where God tells him to inform the Israelite community of God's list of commandments. This list begins with, "Speak to the whole Israelite community and say to them, 'You shall be holy, for I, the eternal your God, am holy.'" The commandments that follow are a clear set of rules involving specific tasks. This made me wonder, If God is giving us a list of rules on how to become holy, then what is the purpose of creating an entirely separate commandment declaring, "You must be holy"? And what is meant by that anyway? Is it enough to just follow the commandments? Or do we need to take into account the true purpose of each commandment and how we should live by them? How can we possibly fulfill God's wishes if we cannot fully understand or define them? Is God telling us that being holy is being perfect, being replicas of the divine? Or is God trying to tell us that it is not about being God, but about finding the godlike qualities within ourselves? To me, holiness is searching for the goodness and the humanity inside of us and applying it to our daily lives. In doing so, we do more than just follow the rules, but strive to serve the purpose of each individual commandment. Nachmanides, a medieval Spanish commentator on the Torah, said that the commandments supply guidelines and limitations, but do not directly equate to holiness. Therefore, you can follow the commandments given by God, but you may still be an immoral or wrongdoing person. For example, a person may help or give charity to the poor, but they may only do so for the purpose of taking the credit for themselves, rather than really dedicating themselves to helping others. Or someone may have a healthy or loving relationship with their parents on the surface, but may fail to take care of their needs during this pandemic, such as their safety or even just contacting them on a regular basis when they have adequate time and resources to do so. So yes, we must follow the commandments, but we must also recognize that that is not enough to be holy. We should all also acknowledge that being holy not only means that you are a good person, but it raises you as high as humanly possible to God. As Rabbi Matthew Gewirtz said, when we reach a bit higher in our actions, when we stop to do right, when we are intentional in acknowledging the depth of beauty around us, we connect to and maybe even act like the God that resides within us. The year 2020 has been unprecedented in many ways. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused plenty of emotional and physical harm. Many have lost their jobs, homes, were separated from loved ones, not to mention the millions of people struggling with the virus currently and the ones we have sadly lost because of it. Given the uncertainty around us, there has been no clear guidebook for how to act. However, there has been a desperate need to reach a bit higher in our actions and for selfless acts for the common good. This difficult time has revealed many examples of people who are reaching higher all around us. Whether it be the healthcare workers, two of whom are here today, who have been risking their own health for others, someone giving away free masks on the street, or even just a friendly neighbor who makes an effort to stay in contact with the members of their community, finding ways to help is extremely vital during this time. Even taking the simple precaution of wearing a mask can make a huge difference in protecting others. We are all struggling right now, and any act of kindness helps. If there is one thing to take away from this portion, and more importantly this pandemic, it is that discovering the humanity deep beneath our skin is crucial, and we must make an effort to do so. Otherwise, we cannot call ourselves holy. Shabbat Shalom.
Beautiful words of Torah, Natalie. As I said to your parents after meeting you for the first time, I asked, what's it like to have such a fabulous daughter? And as they shared with you, we all look up to you as a role model, and so fortunate for your sister Emma and, of course, your dog Ivy that they have you in their lives to take care of them and to teach them as you taught us this morning. And we have mazel tovs from around the world for you, and everyone is so impressed by your writing. And at this point, we invite your whole family back up onto the bima with you as we offer these words of congratulations.
Simon top, mazel tov, simon top, mazel tov, simon top, mazel tov, simon top, Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And at this time, we ask you to return to your seats and remain standing as we conclude our service with a moment of memory. Of course, as has been mentioned many times, your family is remembering your grandpa Norman today, and the Central Synagogue community is remembering the passing in recent days of Adele Astian, mother of Donna, Dan Baum, son of Cy and stepson of Judith, Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth Bacon, Mark Epstein, brother of Rhonda, Diane Kovacs, mother of David and Lawrence, sister of Gail Schneider, Natalie Cooper Rosenthal, mother of Evelyn, Elizabeth, Nancy, and David, wife of Sydney, Lillian Siegel, mother of Susan Dorn, Jerry and Robert, Mickey Soffer, great aunt of Carol Ostro, and Joan Wernick, mother of Gail. With those names in our hearts and the names of everyone who you're thinking about this morning, be they a recent passing or the observance of a yard site, Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, as we turn to the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yiruteh, ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon, uv'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudusha b'brichu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
We conclude our service today with another song of praise and joy. We'll sing Hallelujah together and wish a very hearty Mazel Tov to the Brenner family and to Natalie for an amazing job chanting and leading us today. Hallelujah. Shalom,
Shabbat shalom and Mazal Tov.
רצון עם רפי והיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי
We will join in singing this beautiful piyut, this liturgical poem. O God of awesome deeds, God of awesome deeds, grant us pardon as the gates begin to close.
Mit ihm ist Park השרת מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Happy Halloween. Welcome to Shabbat Services at Central Synagogue. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu, and by our amazing musicians who lift up our voices to God this morning. And most importantly, in the sanctuary upstairs, we are joined by our wonderful bar mitzvah, Nico Fodor, and his family. Nico, why don't you stand up and give us a wave, say hi. Good to see you. Mazal tov to you. We can't wait to have you join us on the Bima for the Torah service. And we are so excited to be joined from a congregation around the world to celebrate this wonderful occasion and to pray with us for Shabbat. And our worship continues this morning with Cantor Mutlu.
Let's begin with this prayer for our souls. Elohai Neshama on page 78. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Shama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama Having thanked God for our souls, we're ready now to go with our call to worship. We're going to rise. We'll turn to page 108 for our Baruch Hu.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai, lai, 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 lai.
You may be seated. And on this beautiful, crisp autumn morning in New York, we offer this prayer for creation. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light.
Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Mi Chamocha, our song of freedom on page 122.
Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai.
la 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 la. Bichamocha ba'elim Adonai, bikamocha neda b'kodesh, Nora tehilo tosefele, Nora tehilo tosefele. Shira chadasha, shibechu gehulim, לשמחה שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. As we turn to our Amidah this morning, we offer the words of the invocation, Adonai Svatai Tiftach. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Kenner Mutlul will sing these words for us, and then we will continue on with the words of our heart silently.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Hu say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu,
יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
As we continue with our service for the reading of Torah this morning, we invite Nico, our bar mitzvah, and his family up to the bima. And Nico, you are going to kick us off with a little reading.
Can I go? The light of Torah shines from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. The scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love, justice, hope, and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachdav.
Now, Nico, as you are standing on this bima with your family this morning, your parents have been dreaming of this moment before you were born, and generations upon generations of Jews going back and back and back have been dreaming that you, Nico Fodor, would one day stand at this Torah and read from it and become bar mitzvah. And to recognize that moment, your parents have a special gift that they want to give you this morning.
Good morning. This tie was a gift from my grandfather, Carlos Jaime, Nico's great-grandfather. Carlos bought this tie in Paris, his fun place with his lovely wife, Sonia, who's here with us today. In any case, he would go to the store and hand-select these ties. Now, he wore a tie every day, and he wasn't the only one. If you think about the Mad Men generation, they're all wearing ties. But no one wore a tie like Carlos. So what does a tie represent? It represents three things to me. First of all, hard work. Think about it. You put on the tie, you have to look in the mirror. I'm crouching too much. You have to look in the mirror, you have to fix it, you have this thing around your neck all day. It's hard work. But once you have it on, the second thing is dignity. You're going out to the world, you're showing them who you are. And the third thing, dignity brings you respect. So I think, Nico, those three things, hard work, in that order, hard work, dignity, and respect will take you very far. Last thing, I don't expect him to wear a tie every day. We all know that. But at least the thought will be in your mind as you carry through your life, through much success, love, and happiness. We love you, Nico.
Amen. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. And at this time, we continue on with our service for the reading of Torah. Nico, please tell us what verses from the Torah you will be reading this morning, and please invite up your first aliyah.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Behar Bechukotai from the book of Leviticus, chapter and verses 26, 3 through 13. For my first aliyah, I call upon my great-grandmother Sonia, my grandmother and grandfather B and Miguel, my aunt Nora, and my uncle and aunt Danny and Kathy.
You can move towards the podium. Oh, okay.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach
לעולם
Leolam
ועד.
Vaed.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, אשר נתנו תורת אמת. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Im bechukotai telechu v'mitzvotai. Amen. Im bechukotai telechu v'mitzvotai tishmeru v'asitem otam v'natati gishmechem be'itam v'natna ha'aretz yevula ve'etz hasadeh yetem piryo ve'hisig lechem dayish et batzir uvatzir yasig et zara v'achaltem lechem lasova vishavtem lavetach be'artechem v'natati shalom ba'aretz ushchavtem ve'en macharid ve'hishbati chaya ra'a min ha'aretz ve'cherev lo ta'avor be'artechem.
העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Nico, please call up your second aliyah.
And for my second aliyah, I call upon my grandfather Jose and my grandmother Deet.
העולם אשר וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Nico, please call up your second aliyah.
And for my second aliyah, I call upon my grandfather Jose and my grandmother Deet.
Can you hear me?
You may begin chanting the blessing.
Okay. Baruch et Adonai Hamevorach.
Baruchu at Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Loam Vaed.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Urdaftem et oivechem v'naflu lifnechem lecharev v'radfu mikem chamisha mea umea mikem revavar dofu v'naflu oivechem lifnechem lecharev ufaniti alechem v'hifreiti etchem v'hirbeiti etchem v'hakimoti et beriti itchem v'achaltem yashan noshan ve'yashan mipnei chadash totziu.
Now you could do the blessing after, grandparents.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu
תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בחיינו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Thank you so much. Wonderfully done, Nico and family. So at this time, I don't know if parents and Sister are still up on the bima, but you can make your way back to your seats in the congregation so that only Nico is up there, because we have very special words for him on this occasion of him being called to the Torah for the very first time. So, Nico, everything that is said about you was true. You are a hard worker, you're dignified, and you've earned lots and lots of respect. I think especially in the way that you have prepared and persevered to this very special day. You were determined to have your bar mitzvah here in our sanctuary, and you're chanting beautifully and leading us so beautifully, and we're so grateful for all that you represent, which is really the future of Judaism. I know that's a lot to put on your shoulders, but I think you can handle that load. You can handle the responsibility of being the future of the Jewish people, and you've proven that by your really, really impressive and inspiring way that you've led us this morning. So the one thing left that we have to do really is call you to the Torah, which is the act that really proves that you're ready. So we do that by calling you by your Hebrew name. And I want to make mention at this moment that you're named after your great-grandfather on your mom's side and your great-grandfather. Last name is Chaimis. So Chaim means life, and you bring that sense of life and joy to everything you do. So we call you to the Torah now for the very first time as a bar mitzvah. Yamod, 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 habar mitzvah, Chaim ben Mordechai b'chaya.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'natati mishkani betochem v'lo tigal nafshi etchem. V'hitalachti betochem v'hayiti lachem le'Elohim ve'atem tihili le'am. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim mihiot lahem abadim va'eshbor motot ulchem va'olech etchem kol mamiut. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natav v'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can introduce your Haftarah portion now.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Jeremiah. I will be reading from chapter 17, verses 10 through 14. Ani Adonai hoker lev bochein klayot v'lateit leish kidrachav kifri me'alalav korei dagar velo yalad osei osher velo v'mishpat b'chatzi yamav ya'azvenu uvacharito yihyeh naval kisei chavod marom merishon mekom mikdashenu mikveh Israel Adonai kolos vecha yevoshu vesurai ba'aretz yikatevu ki azvu mekor mayim hayim et Adonai. Rafa'eni Adonai ve'erafei hoshieni ve'ivasheya ki tehilati ata. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tor kol amim, tzadik bechel hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'osei, ha'medaber u'mekayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah, ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al neve'im, ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, liktul shav limnucha, lehavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachanu modim lach, umvarhim otach, yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai, tamid leolam va'ed, baruch ata Adonai,
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
mekadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen.
And Nico, at this time, you can roll that Torah up just a little bit that you just chanted from so beautifully. You chanted words of our people throughout history, and at this point, we're going to invite you to offer your own words of Torah. You're going to deliver your Devar Torah.
It was March 2020. A group of roughly 10 B'nai Mitzvah students and their parents gathered in the pavilion for a Devar Torah workshop with Rabbi Salth and Rabbi Ross on a 6:30 p.m. cold, rainy Wednesday evening. In all honesty, none of us wanted to be there. It was a Wednesday, the middle of the week. It was late, it was cold, it was rainy. My Torah portion, Bachar B'chukotai, is about the relationship between God and the children of Israel. God demands that the children of Israel be God's people, for if they refuse, there will be severe punishments. It's a side of God we usually don't like to think about, the harsh threats and aggressive attitude, but this side of God emphasizes the importance of God's desire for a strong relationship with the Israelites. I remember sitting in the pavilion thinking that this would be a difficult Torah portion to write about. Where was the action? How was I to write an entertaining and thoughtful piece? How would I successfully tie it to my favorite things? Rap, basketball, my friends, as B'nai Mitzvah typically do. My sister started exciting Sonic Youth and Star Wars. How creative. Where was the lesson from such an uneventful section of the Torah, a book that contains so many epic stories? Well, little did we know at the time that everything was about to change. Within a week, I was living in Southampton, attending school online, and rescheduling this very day. The seriousness of the pandemic really hit me when the NBA got canceled. It was my go-to thing to watch after finishing homework. It brought me joy. Life changed in the spring of 2020. Why? Perhaps we'd become too self-involved, ignoring each other. Perhaps it was time for reckoning. Technology, travel, social media, etc. The past 10 years were too easy. Packed airports, safety taken for granted. No one's hardship, but sometimes it is needed. A reminder of how lucky we are to appreciate that dinner, or even school. And that is the meaning of my Torah portion. Hardship is God's way of signaling to us that we need change. That's how we can understand God's punishment in my Torah portion. But there is a solution. In my Torah portion, God says, if you follow my laws and faithfully observe my commandments, then things will be good for you. Does this mean that we have to keep all of the commandments like keeping kosher? I'm not sure. But what I do know is that God expects us to pay attention to the world around us and to treat other people with dignity, to respect the environment. In fact, keeping kosher actually drives us to treat animals well, preventing some species from going extinct. Obviously, not all the commandments have to be kept, as some do not correspond to how the world functions today. Ultimately, if you want to take something away from my Torah passage, a message is, we have the power to bring God into our midst. And God says, when we do good deeds, I will be ever in your presence. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
Thank you so much, Nico, for those beautiful words of Torah. One of the things that's so special about you is how gifted of a storyteller you are. At the very beginning of your Devar Torah, when you spoke of that evening, I remember that evening too, and you taught us such a moving lesson that you pulled from your Torah portion. So thank you so much for that gift, and we have mazel tovs from you from around the world. And at this time, we're going to invite your family back up to the bima, your parents and your siblings, as we sing these words of congratulations.
Simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, yehelanu, yehelanu, yehelanu,
Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
I saw that well-deserved and deep breath of relief, and at this time, I invite your family to go back to their seats and remain standing as we conclude our service, as we always do, with a moment of memory, remembering those who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. And today, in particular, your family is remembering your great-grandparents, Carlos, Paula, Jaime, Pinke, Bella, and Rachel. And the Central Synagogue community is remembering the passing of our dear ones in recent days of Adele Astian, mother of Donna, Dan Baum, son of Cy and stepson of Judith, Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth Bacon, Mark Epstein, brother of Rhonda, Diane Kovacs, mother of David Lawrence, sister of Gail Schneider, Natalie Cooper Rosenthal, mother of Evelyn, Elizabeth, Nancy, and David, wife of Sydney, Lillian Siegel, mother of Susan Dorn, Jerry, and Robert, Mickey Soffer, great aunt of Carol Ostro, and Joan Wernick, mother of Gail. At this time, if you are remembering someone dear to you, either because you are in a period of mourning or because you are observing a yard site, we invite you to share their name aloud on Facebook or in your heart. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be ever for a blessing. We continue with the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'amei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudusha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tu shvechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
We conclude with this song of joy and light, gladness, and we're going to wish a mazel tov to Nico and his whole family. We're going to sing La Yehudim. La Yehudim, Hai Tahura, Hai Tahura, V'simcha, V'saso, V'ikar. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Mazel tov, Nico.
God of awesome deeds, grant us pardon as the gates begin to close.
Mit ihm ist Park
So you may have noticed that our melodies sometimes change with the seasons. And Mi Chamocha, our prayer for redemption, is the perfect song to take on these new melodies. Tonight, we read from Parshat Noach, Noah and the flood. And I think you know the melody that we use at this season for Mi Chamocha. Sing it with us.
Ancient new song. The Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody.
Get your children out of the muddy, muddy. Children of the Lord. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Torah tehilot Hosefelet, children of the Lord.
You know it. So
Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. Oh, Malchutcha ra'u v'anecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Eliano be'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam ba'ed. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord.
the sun came out and dried up the landy.
The sun came out and dried up the landy. Everything was fine and dandy, dandy, children of the Lord. So rise and shine, give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord.
Nice.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותו, כי גדול אדוני ובכל
We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Glory, glory. Uzi Zimrat ya Vayili Lishua Uzi Zimrat ya Vayili Lishua
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Shabbat morning services here at Central Synagogue. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined this morning by Cantor Dan Mutlu and by our extraordinary musicians who are lifting all of our voices up in prayer. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. And most importantly, by our bar mitzvah and his family, Ethan, please stand up and give a wave to everyone. Let them know who you are. That's great. Yep, wave. Yep. Fantastic. We are so excited to have you here and so excited to celebrate with you in just a few short minutes. And we are joined by a congregation from around the world who are watching to celebrate with you and your family this morning as we continue with our service by thanking God for restoring our souls with Elohai Neshama.
Elohai, Elohai. Neshama, neshama, shenatata bi, shenatata bi, tehorahi, tehorahi, Elohai, Elohai.
neshama shenatata bi tehurahi Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehurahi And now, giving thanks for the souls that God restored, we're going to further bring our praise and our thanks to God with the words of the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. We're going to ask you to rise and turn to page 108. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. And on this morning, when Ethan is going to be chanting for us from Parshat Lech Lecha, we offer this reading. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming.
Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam neot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue now with our song of freedom, Michamocha, page 122. Michamocha, Ma'elim Adonai kamocha neda b'kodesh nora tehilo osei feleh nora tehilo osei feleh Say, Fele, Nora, Tehilo, oh, say, Fele.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. At this time, as we turn to our tefillah this morning, Kenner Mutlu will chant the words of Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare our praise, and we will speak the words of our hearts with silent prayer.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Agit Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Hu say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
יעשה שלום עלינו, עושה שלום במקומם, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Ethan, at this time, you and your family, if you aren't already there, should ascend to the bima for our service for the reading of Torah, the moment that you become bar mitzvah, and we invite you to share the first words of this Torah service.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, onero mema shemo yachdav.
Ethan, your parents have been dreaming of this moment since before you were born, and generations upon generations of Jews throughout time have been dreaming that one day you, Ethan, would be standing on this bima to share with us words of Torah. And to recognize the significance of this moment, your parents have a gift that they want to share with you.
Ethan, this baseball was signed by Phil Rizzuto. And it came from your grandfather. It's a physical representation of something that's already been passed down to you, going back 3 generations. A love of New York baseball. You're 13 years old. You've already had the good fortune of attending a Major League Baseball game with 4 generations of family members. Yours, mine, your grandparents, and your great-grandma. In addition to spending his entire 13-year playing career with the Yankees, winning 10 American League titles and 7 World Championships, Phil Rizzuto was inducted into the Hall of Fame and spent 40 years as their radio and television announcer. He's the longest-running Yankees announcer ever. It kind of sounds like your dream career. His trademark was lively play-by-play and unpredictable digressions while commentating, and he's known for his trademark, holy cow, not unlike Oppo Taco on your Yankees recap feed. Phil Rizzuto was born in Brooklyn, just like both of your grandparents and all 4 of your great-grandparents on my side of the family. I hope every time you look at this baseball, you see more than a ball. I hope you see generations of hard work, loyalty, pride in your New York roots, and I hope you feel all the love you're surrounded by from our entire family. I said I wouldn't cry, I'm sorry.
And Ethan, the sky belonged to your great-grandfather, Morris Poston, your Bubba's father. I was honored when I found out that he left it to me when he passed away. I can still remember seeing it around his thick, sun-tanned neck, whether in the swimming pool, the ocean, or working in his garage. The word chai means alive or living, which is symbolic of the way he lived his life, which was to the fullest. To me, he was a mentor. He was larger than life. In my eyes, he seemed as strong as a lion. It is why we gave you his Hebrew name, Moshe. I wanted to name my firstborn son after him. He believed family was the most important thing in life. He would say in a heavy Polish accent, "My kind, without family, you've got nothing." And that has stuck with me ever since. It is an awesome story that in the last 100 years, your relatives have migrated from Eastern Europe to South Africa, to Denver, Colorado, and now finally, New York City, the greatest city in the world. But one thing has remained constant. Family has always come first. And nothing makes me happier than to see your entire immediate family on both your mom and dad's sides here with us today. I know your great-grandfather Morris would be proud. I'm sure he's in heaven smiling as he watches you become a bar mitzvah today.
Wow, that is absolutely beautiful. I've never been more jealous of a gift that parents have given to a B'nai Mitzvah. And I just want to share one note that came on Facebook. So we have a dear member of our community, Ed Saslaw, who is a major Red Sox fan. And he actually wears a Red Sox tie to services. And he said to this lifelong Red Sox fan, "This is so beautiful and meaningful." So that's how you know you have moved a lot of people with these gifts that you have given to Ethan this morning. And we continue on with our service for the reading of Torah. Ethan, I invite you at this time to share the verses, chapter and verses that you will be reading from Parshat Lech Lecha, and to call up your first aliyah.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Lech Lecha from the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verses 1 through 9. For my first aliyah, I call upon my mom and dad, Baba and Zayda, and Grandma and Grandpa.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Adonai el Avram lech lecha me'artzecha umimolatecha umibeit avicha el haaretz asher arecha ve'ezcha legoy gadol va'avarechecha va'agadla shamecha v'chiyei bracha va'avarcha mevarchecha umkalelcha aor v'nivrechu vecha kol mishpehot ha'adama.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
You may be seated, and at this time, Ethan, we invite you to call up your second aliyah.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my Didi, Aunt Jess, and Uncle Dave, and Aunt Jody.
Baruch atah Adonai
Hamrach Lalam
Baruch
Vaed.
Adonai Hamrach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayelech Avram, kasher diber elav Adonai, vayelech ito lo va'avram ben hamesh shanim v'shivim shana betzeto meharan. Vayika Avram et Sarai ishto ve'lot ben achiv ואת כל רכושן אשר רכשו, ואת הנפש אשר עשו, וחרן ויצאו ללכת ארצה כנען, ויבואו ארצה כנען. ויעבור אברהם הרץ עד מקום שכם עד אלו מורה, והכנעני אז בארץ.
אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful job. Mazel tov to aunts and uncle. You can go back to your seats in the congregation, as well as Ethan's parents. You can go back to your seats in the congregation, because at this moment we are going to officially call up Ethan to the Torah for the very first time as a bar mitzvah. And I have some news for you, Ethan. You know, traditionally speaking, you don't have to do anything to become a bar mitzvah. I know I'm telling you at, really the wrong time. But you just have to turn 13 in our tradition and you become bar mitzvah. And of course, there's so much more to that and so much more that you've demonstrated. And one of the ways that we prove that we've become bar mitzvah is that we say we are responsible for the Torah. We are sons and daughters and children of the commandments, and we're ready to learn from the Torah and teach others as you've done, and also say these blessings. So the blessings you're about to say are the blessings for the Aliyah, and you could not have said these blessings before you became bar mitzvah. So this is a very, very special and holy moment, and we are so very proud of you. So we're going to call you now for the very first time as a bar mitzvah to the Torah, and we're going to call you by your Hebrew name. And it is significant to note that, Ethan, you are named after your great-grandfather, Morris, and that's why you have Moshe in your name. And it just proves that you are connected through this long line of generations, and their hope that you would be here today taking those traditions that they've given and passed on as gifts, l'dor v'dor. You've proven that you are the embodiment of their wishes. So you make all of their memories and all of their names really for blessing and for good. So we call you now for the very first time as a bar mitzvah to the Torah. Yamod, 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 habar mitzvah, Moshe ben Shlomit Ada ve'Aryeh Leib. And now you can do the blessing before.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayra Adonai el Avram, vayomer lazar acha, etain el harat hazot, vayiven sham mizbeach, l'Adonai hanireh elav. Vayatik misham hahara mikedem leve'el vayet ohalo be'el niyam vay mikedem vayiven sham mizbeach l'Adonai vayikra b'shem Adonai vayisa Avram haloch v'nasoa hanegva. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And now, Ethan, you can go ahead and introduce your Haftarah portion.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Isaiah. I will be reading from chapter 41, verses 12 through 16. Tevakshem velo timsaim anshe matzutecha hiyucha ayin uchefes anshe milchamtecha ki ani Adonai Elohecha machazik yeminecha ha'omer lacha al tira Ani arzarticha al tiri tola Yaakov mite Yisrael ani arzartich numanai vigo alech kedosh Yisrael hine samtich lemorag harutz chada baal pifiot Tadush harim, v'tadok ugvaot kamot tasim, tizrei veruach tisaim, usara tafitz otam, va'ata tagil ba'adonai, bikdosh Yisrael titalal.
Beautiful, 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 Ethan. And now, having chanted all of those words from our tradition, from our Torah, we invite you to offer your own words of Torah this morning with your Devar Torah.
In my Torah portion, Lech Lecha, our ancestor Abraham faces a moral dilemma when he arrives in Egypt with his wife Sarai and meets Pharaoh. He asks Sarai to lie for him and say that she's his sister so that he won't be killed. This is because the Egyptians had the habit of murdering husbands to take their wives. Still, Abraham asked Sarai to lie for him. So my question is, when is it okay to lie? The question of whether there are ever situations in which lying is okay is an interesting one. In the Talmud, the text which contains Jewish rabbinic law, there's a story about how one should speak of her bride on her wedding day. Two sages are debating whether you praise the bride and tell her she's beautiful even if she isn't, or whether to tell her the truth, which could potentially hurt her feelings. The sages conclude that you should say to the bride she's beautiful, even if that's not the case. The general rule of thumb in life is that you should not lie. But now we've seen two examples for Jewish tradition when it's okay to lie. What do these examples have in common? In both the case of Abraham and Sarai and the bride's case, lies were intended to protect people. There are times in life when lying can help you and could even be critical to your health or mental well-being. I have a recent example from my own life that some would call lying by omission. A few weeks ago, I got injured when a friend pulled a chair out from under me at school. I was in a fair amount of pain and could not participate in my team baseball practice that evening. Yet, when I was asked about my injury by a teacher, I contemplated telling on this unnamed individual, but ultimately decided not to do so. The school takes physicality very seriously, and sharing the truth about what happened to me could result in the classmate having severe consequences. Instead, I said, I am fine. I just tripped and fell, and then I hurt my tailbone. I lied to save this unnamed friend from getting in trouble, as I think he was just trying to be funny and play around. Lying also has the potential to save you from a bad situation. For example, a friend recently told me if there's a stranger who approaches you and asks you to go with them, then you should lie to them saying, actually, I can't. My mom or dad is waiting for me at the corner. The quote I just presented is a lie that saves you because a person would not want to try to attack someone, with someone watching because they don't want to blow their cover in front of everybody, especially a parent of the kid. So in this situation, lying can give you a general sense of security. A lot of people view all lying as a bad thing. I view lying as having 3 tiers. Tier 1, the bad lie. The first tier is the worst. This includes lying to an authority, lying about something you did to try to get out of a crime or sin that you committed, or lying to your superior, parent or teacher, or lying about something that puts the safety of others at risk, health disclosure, especially during COVID-19, etc. Tier 2, the white lie. The second tier is a lie that you told that isn't going to hurt you or others, but you should have told the truth, like a white lie. An example of a white lie is when I told my dad I had brushed my teeth when he asked me if I had, when I had not, but I was going to 3 minutes later. As you can tell, this is almost meaningless, and that is why it is a white lie, because it has practically no implications, but it's still a lie. Tier 3, lying for protection. The third tier is lying to help yourself stay safe or protect someone else for danger, such as the example I gave about a stranger approaching, which could apply to you or your friend. The first tier, especially nowadays, could be very harmful, as every morning I fill out a health questionnaire for school about COVID-19 symptoms, exposure, 14 days in the state on the quarantine list, etc. A health questionnaire runs on the honor system about people telling the truth. And even one lie by one person could endanger hundreds of people. Lying is a serious thing for sure, but I learned from my Torah portion and Jewish tradition that there are instances in which it is acceptable, if not necessary, to lie. Hopefully they don't come about too often, but you should know that you have thousands of years of teaching on your side when they do.
Thank you so much, Ethan, for sharing your rich wisdom and your sense of humor with us this morning. We wish you so many congratulations. Congratulations from around the world from Jennifer Rothkin, from Malky Porges, from Sky Wentworth, from Spirita Luz. So many people are so proud of you and the richness of the Torah that you have just brought to our Bima and the love from your family as we invite your family to come back up to the Bima as we offer these words of congratulations.
Simin tov, mazel tov, is simin tov, mazel tov, is simin tov, mazel tov, is simin tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
Mazal tov, mazal tov, mazal tov. And at this time, we invite your family to return to their seats in the congregation and remain standing as we turn to the hopeful words of Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We remain standing as we conclude our service, as we always do, with a moment of memory, bringing into our lives and into bringing the presence of those who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. And Ethan, your family is remembering those dear ones this morning, your great-grandparents, Morris and Edie, Sam and Jesse, Diane and Nathan, and Pearl and Nathan, and your Aunt Cookie and Uncle Mike. The Central Synagogue community is remembering the passing in recent days of Adele Astian, mother of Donna, Dan Baum, son of Cy and stepson of Judith, Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth Bacon, Mark Epstein, brother of Rhonda, Diane Kovacs, mother of David and Lawrence, sister of Gail Schneider, Natalie Cooper Rosenthal, mother of Evelyn, Elizabeth, David, Nancy, and David, wife of Sydney, Lillian Siegel, mother of Susan Dorn, Jerry, and Robert, Mickey Soffer, a great aunt of Carol Ostro, and Joan Wernick, mother of Gail. At this time, if you were remembering someone either because of a passing in recent days, if you were in the period of Shiva, Shloshim, or Shana, or if you're observing a yahrzeit, or if there's just someone who you're thinking about, we invite you to share their name aloud in your heart or on Facebook. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing, as we join in the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yita adar, v'yita alev, v'yita halal, shmei dekudesha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'miram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
We conclude now with this song of peace, wishing Mazel Tov to Ethan and family, and we'll sing together Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Mazal Tov, Ethan.
Min hametzar karatia anani v'merchavia odecha ki ani tani v'tehili lishua odecha Anita answer me. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, 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 answer me. Aneni, aneni, aneni. I called out to you from a narrow place. Your answer came to me from a wide open space. My heart cried out for you wherever you are. Your hand reached out to me in Hametzah. Aneni, 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 answer me. 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 Aneni, aneni, aneni. Min
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol Hashalom Beto benecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol leit ubechol shah bishlomecha Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol
Shabbat,
hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah. 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 Hava nashira, shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom, happy Halloween.
It never gets old.
It really doesn't get old. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu and our wonderful musicians who are here to lift up our voices in song as we worship together this morning. And of course, most importantly, by Evan and his family. Evan, please stand up in the sanctuary upstairs and give us all a wave. So good to see you, Mazal Tov. We look forward to welcoming you to the Bima for our Torah service. And we continue our service this morning with a prayer, a blessing of thanks for God restoring our souls. Elohai Neshama.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama. Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Elohai, 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 Neshama, Neshama. Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama. Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, 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 Tehorahi.
And now, having thanked God for our souls, we're ready for our call to worship. We'll ask you to rise. We turn to page 108 for our Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. And on this beautifully crisp autumn morning, we continue with a prayer for creation. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first of order, and then for hope. Author of Language and Light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth.
Baruch atah Adonai, הבוחר בעמו ישראל, מאהבה. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם נאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, on page 122. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh Feleh, Nora, Tehilot, Oseh, Feleh, Michamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha, Nedar Tehilot, Oseh, Feleh, Nora, Tehilot, Oseh, Feleh.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. In a few moments, Kener Mutlu will chant the words, the invocation of the Amidah, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. And we will share with the mouths of our hearts our words of prayer to God silently.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
רצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך יהיו לרצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי יהיו לרצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך יהיו לרצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי יהיו לרצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך יהיו לרצונים רפים רפים והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי.
At this time, as we begin our service for the reading of Torah, Evan, we invite you to the bima with your wonderful family. If you haven't already, oh, you are up there, fabulous. And please begin with the reading.
The light of the Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti unerom bema Shemo yachdav.
And Evan, at this time on this bima with your wonderful family, we recall that this is in fact a moment that they have been dreaming of since before you were born, and generations upon generations upon generations back of Jews have been dreaming that you, Evan, would one day stand at this bima and chant Torah, joining the link in the great chain, Lador Vador, from generation to generation. And in recognition of that moment, your older brother, just a few years older than you, has some words that he would like to share with you on this occasion.
For those of you who may not know Evan so well, he has a variety of nicknames for everyone, myself included. Actually, I would argue that I have not only the most nicknames, but also the most bizarre. I've been called everything from Hare to Larry to Harad to Yaberdai, you get the point. In most cases, Evan will simply refuse to acknowledge what my real name even is. However, I like to think that this is Evan acknowledging and loving me in his own unique way. And though I hate to admit it, I wouldn't trade my absurd nicknames for anything. Not surprisingly, our attitudes toward each other seem to shift, usually for the better, when we're away from our parents. Without the never-ending competition to be the favorite child, Evan and I seem to better appreciate each other's company. Shocking, I know. Some good examples of this come from camp, whether it's just talking with me as we go up the hill to the bunks, or the bizarre games that we invented to pass the time on the 5-hour bus ride to and from. We enjoy our time hanging together. During quarantine, it was great to have you there to play ping pong and tennis with, and to make us laugh while hiking or having dinner together as a family. Even while walking home after dinner last Saturday night, we had a lively discussion about our mutual love of sour candy. These are the moments that I cherish the most, because I know that under whatever competition we're having at home, Evan really loves and cares for me. And now, Evan, it's your bar mitzvah. Congratulations, and I know you will do an amazing job. I'm so impressed that you've stuck with the extra 6 months of studying and how you've taken the delay and setbacks in stride. And I can't help but think back to almost 3 years ago when I took my place on this bima with Kenner Mutlu. Remembering that we share this special moment makes me ecstatic, and I can't wait to celebrate your accomplishments today.
Thank you so much, Jared, for those beautiful words of blessing. And at this time, Evan, your parents have some words of blessing that they want to offer you and a special gift for you on this your bar mitzvah day.
Evan, we are beyond proud of you and are so grateful to be together with our family at Central almost 6 months later celebrating your bar mitzvah. Though we have all had some losses and disappointments due to the pandemic, you have never dwelled or complained about the delay or having to ramp back up with preparation. You resume your studying without hesitation to perfect your portion, which I'm sure you will execute flawlessly again today. When we were originally planning your bar mitzvah, we asked you what you felt were the most important components. You said there were 3: standing on the bima at Central, a montage, which hopefully everyone has seen, and a speech. So we have all the boxes checked.
Evan, you make us laugh every day. You're so fun to be with, always up for anything, and do so with a little hop and enthusiasm. You have this sunny attitude and personality that we could always count on to put a smile on our faces, even Jared's. You never complain. You have an amazing sense of humor, always coming up with these one-liners that we keep in a notebook. These one-liners include nicknames that you come up with. Everyone in our family has one. I'm sometimes called Madre or Mermy, and let's not forget how you call yourself either the favorite or miracle child, or where you tell Jared or J-Bear to offie his Komen or don't touch him.
Ev, you are extremely thoughtful, always asking meaningful questions on an infinite range of topics: politics, the economy, history, or current events. When we come home from work, you never fail to ask how the day went and probe on any key elements we may have mentioned previously. Evan tracks all of my largest investments at work and will often ask Papa, my current nickname, what did you do to help your clients today?
Mijo, you're a competitor. Soccer, tennis, and now kicking your father's butt in ping pong. You're a great snow and water skier, an Xbox connoisseur, and an incredible card player. Not sure if we should mention how dangerous you are at poker, but we're thankful you're not allowed in the casinos.
Ev, your love for animals was the reason we planned to go on safari in June to celebrate your bar mitzvah. We are all bummed that it's now pushed back a year, but know it will be a trip of a lifetime.
We love you beyond words and can't believe what a kind, sweet, thoughtful, witty young man you have turned into. We often discuss how fortunate we are to have had some COVID blessings over the past 8 months. Being here today is certainly another one, and spending all of the bonus time together has been the greatest blessing of all. Evan, we love you so much and look forward to celebrating your many future accomplishments. Now I'm going to call my mom to come up on the bima with us as we are going to pass down our prayer book, actually, from my father's bar mitzvah that was in November of 1955.
Thank you.
You're a gift and you're a blessing. You are history in song. You are hope and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. L'dor v'dor nagid God lecha. L'dor v'dor we protect this chain. From generation to generation, l'dor v'dor, these lips will praise your name.
Wow, 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 wow. How beautiful that was. And at this time, Evan, we invite you to share what you will be chanting for us this morning, as well as to call upon your first aliyah.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Amor from the book of Leviticus, chapter and verses 23, 22, 32. For my first aliyah, I call upon my grandparents Judy, Linda Sue, and RJ, and my brother Jared.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Kutrohem et kitzir artehem lo tehale pa'ad sarha bekutreha v'leket kitzir ha'a lo telaket le'ani v'lager ta'azov otam ani Adonai Elohehem v'yidaber Adonai el Moshe Lemor Daber el Bonei Yisrael Lemor Bahodesh Hashvi'i Be'ehad lahodesh Yiyeh lahem Shabbaton Zikron Taru'a Mikra Kodesh Komolehet Avodah Lo Tasu V'hikravtem Yishel Adonai.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet V'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my parents, Betsy and John.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe Lemor Be'esor lahodesh Hashvi'i hazeh Yom HaKippurim hu Mikra Kodesh Yiyeh lahem V'ini te'em et nafshetehem V'hikravtem Yishel Adonai V'homelaha lo tasu Be'etzem hayom hazeh Ki Yom Kippurim hu lehaper alehem lifnei Adonai Elohehem.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet V'chayei olam natan betochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Beautifully chanted, Evan and Yasher Koach. Parents, you can take a seat in the congregation, and this is going to be Evan's special moment. We're going to call him in just a few moments to the Torah for the very first time, and it so fills me in particular with so much pride to see this beautiful, the way that you have led us has really inspired us, and also to see your brother offering his words just speaks volumes to the kind of family that you are, and I know that your parents are so very proud of you at this moment, Evan. You have proven to be a diligent worker, to take this task seriously. As I often tell my students, you don't really have to do anything to become bar mitzvah. You just turn 13 and traditionally you're bar mitzvah, but you have gone so above and beyond all of that You have taught us Torah. You have learned Torah. You've inspired us. You've taken your assignment seriously. And I remember from our conversations that this really meant a lot to you, and this is a very important moment. And there's really nothing more that our community could want from a young person like you. You are the future, and you fill us with so much hope. So it is with that hope and pride and joy that we call you now for the very first time as an aliyah to the Torah. Yamod, 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 Habar Mitzvah, Shmuel ben Tova veYona.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten Torah.
Amen.
Ki ho hanefesh asher lo te'uneh be'etzem hayom hazeh v'nichrata me'ameha veho hanefesh asher taseh homlaha be'etzem hayom hazeh v'havadati et hanefesh hahi'i mekarab ama homlaha lo tasu hukat olam l'dorotehem beho moshvotehem Shabbat Shabbaton hu lahem v'initem et nafshotehem b'tisha lahoresh ba'erev me'erev ad erev tishbetu Shabbatem Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu Baruch Ata Adonai noten Torah.
Amen. And after that masterful job chanting your third aliyah, we're going to ask you now to introduce and chant your haftarah.
Uvayom bo'o el hakodesh el hehatzer hapnimit l'sharet ba'kodesh yahakriv hatato na'um Adonai Elohim v'haita lahem l'nahala ani Nahalatam va'ahuzah lo titnu lahem be'Yisrael ani ahuzatam haminha v'hahatat v'ha'asham hema yohlum v'hoherem be'Yisrael lahem yeh v'reishit hol bihurei hol v'hol terumat kol mikol terumotehem lakohanim yeh v'reishit arisotehem titnu lakohen lehania beraha el beiteha hol nevela utrefa min ha'of umin ha'bhema lo yohlu hakohanim Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Tzor ho ha'olamim, tzadik beho hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber umkayim, sheho devarav, emet vat tzedek. al haTorah ve'al havodah ve'al hanevi'im ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likadusha v'limnuha lehavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim la umvarahim ota yitzbarak shimha befi kol hai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo
Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
And having so beautifully chanted the words of our ancestors, that Torah that you just shared with us, we invite you now to offer your own words of Torah with your Devar Torah.
This morning we are talking about fields. In my Torah portion, Amor, God says landowners have to leave the crops in the corners of our fields and anything that we leave behind during the harvest for the poor and for the stranger. The stranger and the poor would come and eat the crops that were left. This was the ancient biblical way of providing food and support for those in need. As I read through the text of this week's Torah portion, this section about our obligation to the poor in the community stood out to me. It seemed like a lot of responsibility, and it's very unclear, in a world where we do not have many fields, how we are supposed to harvest and take care of those in need. I wondered, what is our responsibility? The Israelites had clear directions, but what is the equivalent of the corners of our fields in today's world? Even if we could figure that out, is it the right amount? Well, the world has changed a lot since the time of the Torah. We continue to have an obligation to help the poor. This is especially relevant today, in the midst of a pandemic. This has not only impacted the physical health, but the economic health as well. The question, therefore, is not if we should help, but rather how and how much to help. I wondered what Judaism had to say on the topic. The medieval rabbi Maimonides summarizes the suggestion according to the ancient rabbis. It is best to fully meet the needs of the poor person who needs help if you can. If you cannot, they suggest the low limit to give is 5% of our income. 20% of our income is the limit, because the rabbis worry if we give more, then we might become poor over time and need assistance. 5 to 20% is quite a range, and you may be thinking, like I did, that 5% of our income as a minimum sounds quite high. Judaism is asking a lot of us. With such a large range, the rabbis may not really help guide us in our decision about the poor in our community. As I think about this today, the first step we have to take is assessing the poor person's situation. As individuals, we are likely not able to do this on our own. In my mind, it is better to give money to organizations rather than directly to those in need. Organizations are in a better position to use our tzedakah properly and to the best effect. While we would like to be able to help everyone, I also want the tzedakah we give to go to those who will use it to put themselves in a better situation. While the ancient rabbis may have given us specific guidelines for how much we should be giving, it is ultimately up to each of us to make that decision for ourselves. At the end of the day, we should remember that we are responsible for one another. We need to be looking out for each other, especially for those who need help. Judaism tells us that we all have the ability to give support, no matter our own fortunes. Many times, those who need help are just like us. Often it is an accident of birth or misfortune, whether we have the means to support ourselves or not. That isn't fair. That is why it matters that there's a standard for our help. It reminds us that we are obligated to do something. During my bar mitzvah project, I was able to spend time helping those in need. On one occasion, I visited an elderly woman who lived alone with her cat, and on another occasion, I put together a holiday bazaar in a home for the poor. Without giving any money, I was able to help these people. This helps show me the impact that your time and compassion, not only your income, can have on the less fortunate. I would like to thank my parents, Rabbi Ross, Cantor Mutlu, Cantor Bruce, my Hebrew tutor, and the rest of the congregation. Thank you all for joining me this morning for my bar mitzvah.
Wow, 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 wow. Evan, I believe that the technical term for how you did this morning is crushed it. You made us all so proud with your hard work, with your resilience arriving this occasion. You gave such a learned, erudite, brilliant Devar Torah that, what's so nice sometimes is that the Torah portion really matches the personality of the student. And in your case, your generosity is so obvious, and that generosity flows from the ancient words of the traditions of our people, and you made it richly relevant today. And with all of that pride swelling within us, we invite your family back up to the bima as we offer these words of congratulations.
Simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, yehelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael.
Mazal Tov again, and we invite your family to return to their seats and remain standing as we turn to the hopeful words of Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We remain standing as we conclude our service, as we always do, with a moment of memory, bringing in the presence of those who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. And Evan, your family is thinking today, of course, of your grandfather, Fred, your uncle, Harold Sanders, and your dear family friends, Nancy Spitzer and Toby Blackman. In addition, the Central Synagogue community is remembering the passing in recent days of Adele Astian, mother of Donna, Dan Baum, son of Cy and stepson of Judith, Mary Elizabeth Drabkin, aunt of Elizabeth Bacon, Mark Epstein, brother of Rhonda, Diane Kovacs, mother of David and Lawrence, sister of Gail Schneider, Natalie Cooper Rosenthal, mother of Evelyn, Elizabeth, Nancy, and David, wife of Sydney, Lillian Siegel, mother of Susan Dorn, Jerry, and Robert, Mickey Soffer, great aunt of Carol Ostro, and Joan Wernick, mother of Gail. At this time, if you are in a period of mourning for a loved one, Shiva, Shloshim, or Shana, or if you're observing a yard site, we invite you to share their name aloud on Facebook or in your heart. Zichronam livracha, may their memories ever be for a blessing. We join together in the words of Mortar's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chaychon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudusha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
We'll conclude our service today with a prayer for peace, but sung joyously because we are thinking of what a beautiful morning this was with the Content family and with you, Evan. So we wish you all a hearty Mazel Tov, and let's sing together Od Yavo. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Mazal Tov, Evan.